there's few materials better at explaining abuse, at least it proved to be an eye-opener for me, than Lundy Bancroft's Why Does He Do That? Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men. Its myths surround the notion of abuse. So if you suspect you may be in an abusive relationship, or you want to help a friend or a relative, a loved one who you think is suffering from abuse, please read this book and apply its principles, understand the phenomenon. He comes from a background of being probably one of the first specialists to work exclusively with abusive people, namely abusive men, to try to address the problem, and he and his team have learned many valuable things about abuse. Let me just attempt to dispel just some of the common myths surrounding abuse. If you think that if it's so bad the victim should leave, stop, because it's actually very difficult to leave an abusive relationship, much more difficult than to leave a normal one. Also, it's very dangerous because many murders happen off the back of the victim leaving an abusive relationship. If you think that she must like it, then, or he, then that's why he or she comes back into the abusive relationship. Stop, because it's the notion of traumatic bonding, and also to the extent that the abuser is successful, he will isolate and undermine the self-confidence of the victim. If you think that you could never be in an abusive relationship, you would leave immediately, stop, because every person is potentially susceptible to abuse, no matter how strong they are, no matter how good their support system is. The only way you can really protect against abuse is to be very well informed of the phenomenon and to understand how it takes hold and how it evolves. And there's many others, many others. Highly recommended. Inside the book, he gives other resources that are well worth looking into. I read the verbally abusive relationship because while the book is very good, it still stands to be refined, in my opinion, because abuse is not just about yelling, screaming, and beating. It takes many forms, and they do touch upon that in the book, but they do also focus mainly on physical and psychological battering, if you will, but not so much on the more subtle forms, which can be just as devastating.